in the previous video, we actually did create this very one right here. But right now, what your company wants to know is to know every single brand that has return, what is the rate of return, and what is the refund rate as well, which is something I think is very simple that anybody can create. So let me show you what is going to help us to do this today. So over here, if I click on the fact sales table here, I can scroll to this end, and over here we have the quantity returned, but there is no record for how much was being refunded back to the customers that actually returned this particular numbers of quantity of the products they purchased from us. So how do we calculate the refund rate? Which is something very simple. First of all, let us deal with the quantity returned and the total quantity sold first. So we're going to go over here, and right now let me duplicate this particular table here. So I'm going to name this one 3 in our class. So click over here. I want to get of cost of goods sold, profit, and the percentage here. So what I just want to have is the revenue, and right away we need to actually know the numbers of quantity sold, right? So to do that, we can bring in this very one here with just the sum function that summarizes this particular column called sales quantity here for us. So we did that in the first video. So it's very simple. You can copy it now. So if I bring it into this particular table, I'm going to have something like this. So the next thing we need to have right now, we want to see the quantity that were returned. How many are there? So which is something very simple, just like this one, new measure. So for the quantity returned, we can use the sum function here. So we just type in return. So it gives us return quantity, and we'll close and hit the enter key. That gives us the summarization of the return quantity, which we can actually bring into our table. So over here, for every single brand that has returns, this is what we have for this particular brand, and the total return is actually 326308. And what we want to see now is what is the percentage of the grand total and the percentage of every single brand. That is the rate we are talking about, right? The return rates we're talking about. So we need to quickly insert a new measure to calculate the return rate. Okay, for the return rate, it's very simple. We're going to be using the divide function here. So with the divide function, what we need to do is to divide the quantity returned, that is QT returned, by what? By the quantity sold. So we do quantity, that is total quantity here. This is the rate or the percentage of the returns. So we're going to convert this into a percentage. So let's do this. Now we have the rate created for us. So can you see it? Can you see it? So the minimum percentage return here is that has this particular brand. Contoso here does not have much returns, is actually 0.60, which is really good. This is good. So what we can do right now, we're going to do that, but before then, let us see how to actually calculate the refund rate. So how much did we refund back to those particular customers that returned these particular numbers of products? So it could be how much are we losing, because if there is any product returned, we are losing. We did not make any sales, so the sales were returned back. So we have to actually know how much are we losing. So if we are interested in looking at the values, we can actually calculate the values by going over here for the first time before we actually calculate the rate, so that it will be very easy for us to some kind of use conditional formatting to see where it is low or where it is high. So refund. So for total refund here, we have the sum x function that will still help us to do this particular calculation, right? So what we need to do for the sum x function, we go into the fact sales table, comma, and this time around we are going to bring in our sales returned. or sorry, return quantity here. So remember, we have two options. Is either we're actually calculating this based on a related table, or use this particular, oh no, we don't even need to do that, because this one is sitting here and our quantity is as well sitting in the same table. We do not need the product table to have this done. So we just have to bring in sales quantity, which is this one, and here you go, you have this. It's very simple. So once we have done this, now we can just format it and bring this in. That is all we need to do. But this does not answer the question that we want to answer. Instead, it helps us to look at the value before we actually create our rate. So over here, we have the normal value. For every single, for this particular numbers of returned, this is how much we refunded back to those particular customers. You understand? So this one here is the lowest. This is how much we refunded back. So despite that this one has low return rate, it has more value than any of those ones that has high return rate. You get it right now? Specifically, this one here has high return rate compared to this one, but this one has more money returned back to the customers. Can you see how this is? Okay, now we're going to do the refund rate. I believe somebody must have done it before me right now, because it's very simple. So for the refund rate, we type in divide, and what we do is to divide our, total refund by what? Total revenue. This is what we need to do. So this gives us the refund rate. Let's find out where we have the high refund rate and low refund rate. So we're gonna do something here. Let's just put it on comma separator. You can format it to dollar, pounds, or any other currency number formatting you want, but I just want to put it on comma separator. So right here, I'm gonna push this in. So and quickly, we have to take a look at what we have. Sorry. Refund rate has not been formatted. Oh, sorry, this is gonna be percentage. Okay, this is exactly what we want to see. So can you now see what we have right here? So there is no sense that we are making from this now. We are not making any sense from here, right? So what should we do to make sure this actually answers our company's question, and they can easily relate to what we have here? So make sure the table is selected. Once the table is selected, let's go ahead and close this, have this closed, and bring this particular format up. Then scroll inside and cell elements, scroll down. This time around, choose what you want to, some kind of condition. So the return rate is what we want to condition right now. We want to use this particular background here to get it. So this is not really what we want to use, because we cannot still relate to this color here. So your organization or your company might have their color or whatever. So what I'm going to do now is to click over this FX here and decide to actually tell it what I want. So for where we have highest return rate, which is bad for us, we want to see this particular red color. And where we have low return rate here, so we want to see something like green. You can click on more colors here and decide to get your own type of green. So something like this would be cool. Let's go with not too greenish, something light. So we go with this. So we want to use this later. We can copy the color code that we have here, the hex code here, Ctrl C to copy. So on this one, verify to make sure you know which one you're using. We're using this particular one here. Then let's click on OK. So now the lowest one here that has lowest return gives us green, and those ones here, they are still low. This is the highest one, and you can see how the variance is. So you quickly go back to here and select your refund rate. So the refund rate, you click on this one and you click over here, and where you have the highest refund rate, we want to do it. And for this one as well, we want to actually make sure we paste in the color code we copied for it to be exact. So we go ahead and click on OK. And this time around, can you see the opposite? Now we have return rate to be low here, and it's giving us high refund rate here. So this is something very simple. Remember, you can actually reformat this by clicking on this particular FX here. You can decide to add a middle color to it, something like this. You click on OK and you see more. Then you can do that to this particular other one as well. So return rate here, and you just click on FX and you add the middle color and you click on OK. So you have more to look at. So does this make sense? Oh no, somebody is not telling me what I am missing. This was supposed to be on the rate, not on this particular one right here. So what do? We make sure we select the refund, total refund, and turn it off, and instead select the refund rate. This is where we're supposed to kind of base it right on. Now it is right on it. So we can quickly go and select this one. So come over here, we want to go with this color and we want to find the middle color, and we click on OK. Then still, now can you see it right now? Can you see 1.15? Very high here. High. So then let's see if we go back now. Now for the maximum, where we have the maximum refund rate is having red, where we have the minimum one is having green, and this one that looks like yellow or whatever is actually the center color, where it is not as high or very low. That is what we have actually done right here. So this is actually 0.30, this is 0.19. So here we go. This is what it is, very high. Despite that this one is low, it's high right here.